Republican president. We'll talk politics in a moment, but I want to bring in Representative Phil Gingrey joining me now, and he's got a couple letters after his name. That's why we wanted him to participate in this conversation. MD, he is a doctor and also a Republican. And first, Congressman Gingrey, I want to play you part of what the White House said today, part of their response. And they say, you know, the whole reason this law is written the way it is to protect people with, you know, pre-existing conditions who find it pretty tough to get insurance at all. Listen to this.
We need to be able to ban this insurance company practice of saying that people can't get coverage because they have pre-existing conditions, and that happens right now all over the country. And you can't ban pre-existing conditions unless you, pre-existing condition exclusions, unless you get everybody into the system. So that's why we need to get everybody into the system, and that's what this individual responsibility requirement is all about.
So here's my question to you, Congressman Gingrey, Dr. Gingrey. If you have a pre-existing condition, or if you just simply can't afford health insurance for whatever reason that may be, as a doctor to patients, are you just out of luck now?
No, Brooke, of course, I understand the trade-off. Obviously, if you're going to, in the law, force the insurance companies to take everybody with pre-existing conditions, even if they wait until they've had the horrendoplasty, or heart attack, cancer, melanoma, whatever, to sign up for the insurance at community rates, then you offset that by forcing everybody else, the young, healthy, those that want it or not, to purchase health insurance, and not only to purchase it, but to purchase a policy that the government decides is an adequate coverage. So that is the part that Judge Hudson of the Eastern District of Virginia ruled unconstitutional under Article 1, Section 8, utilizing the Commerce Clause to say that it's applicable not only to regulating interstate commerce or commerce between nations, but to force people to engage in commerce.
Well, Congressman,
and I think the judge was absolutely right.
You segued right into my next point. You know, talking about commerce, talk about buying, and it's perfect for you because you're on the Energy and Commerce Committee. You know, the federal judge today took issue with the whole part of the health care law that addresses commerce laws specifically. Page 3 saying in this ruling, the Commonwealth argues that requiring an otherwise unwilling individual to purchase a good or service from a private vendor is beyond the boundaries of congressional Commerce Clause power, i.e., you know, if you can't force someone to shop for health insurance. But my question to you is, isn't commerce a good thing? Don't people in this country benefit from having more people spend money?
Well, commerce is a wonderful thing, so now should we force them to purchase not just an automobile, but one from government motors, since the government controls 60% of the stock of General Motors. And in fact, when this law was proffered in the Energy and Commerce Committee a year and a half ago, the original draft, the Democratic majority wanted a strong public option. They not only wanted to force people to have to purchase, but they wanted them ultimately to have to buy it from the federal government. I mean, talk about taking away people's liberty and right to choose. The president had said, you know, if you like what you've got, you can keep it until you can't.
I want to bring in Jeff Toobin. Jeff, I imagine you're still sitting there listening to this conversation, and I don't know if you want to take sides per se, but to Congressman Gingrey's point, does that make sense?
Well, I think it really depends on how you see the power of the federal government. You know, it has been true for decades that the federal government has been intimately involved in health care. There's Medicare, there is Medicaid. And the question really before the court is the Obama plan simply a logical extension of Medicare and Medicare, which is what the administration says, or is it something new that is outside the power of the federal government? This is, I think, fundamentally a very partisan political issue. You see it in the makeup of the judges who've decided this case so far. I think you'll see it as the case moves through the process. How you look at the Constitution depends on your ideology, and that depends, and that's going to determine how you come out in this case.
And Jeff Toobin, to your point, and this is for you, Congressman Gingrey, on the whole, you know, this could be perceived as a huge political victory for conservatives today with this particular ruling. Do you feel vindicated by this judge's decision in Richmond? And furthering that, does this set the stage for Republicans such as yourself, you know, to propose repealing the entire law come January?
Well, Brooke, I do feel vindicated, and of course, more importantly, I'm sure Ken Cuccinelli, the Attorney General of Virginia, certainly feels vindicated. You know, there's another lawsuit. 20 states, including my state of Georgia, they will take arguments, I think, oral arguments on Thursday of this week in a district court in Florida, and I expect that that judge will rule just as Judge Hudson has ruled. I agree with Jeff in regard to what ultimately will happen. Ultimately, this will be decided by the Supreme Court, and I hope sooner rather than later. And, you know, quite honestly, you know, it could be a 5-4 decision, but it also could be 9-0, because even though what he says about the power of the federal government to expand into other areas of health care, so beyond Medicare and Medicaid, or Medicare for all or Medicaid for all, that might be true. But what the judge ruled in Virginia was strictly on whether or not it was constitutional to force people, in many instances, most instances, in fact, against their will, to purchase health insurance.
That's right. So ultimately, it will be up to, you know, generally speaking here, that the law of the land, Supreme Court, to parse through this 42-page ruling from the Virginia judge. Many other states, as you mentioned, tackling this very issue as well. We will see if it will be sooner rather than later that those justices will take this up. Jeff Toobin and Congressman Gingrey, I want to thank both of you for weighing in here.